So welcome everyone. Welcome to 2026 book tastings. My name is Jennifer and
I'm Karen.
this is our third time doing this, I believe, something like that. And so we always enjoy finding what books are coming out in the next year, this coming year, and recommending those to you. Obviously, we have not read these books because for most part they're not out. It's just based on offers, covers, descriptions, and just the overall hype. So we hope that works. We're going to start with just three books that we read in 2025. Just if you need something right now, we would recommend these best of the 2025 year. So with that, we shall get started. So if we got some over there.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to start. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start over here. So 2025, I'm gonna start. I gotta get my nonfiction out of the way and then we'll go to fiction, I promise. So here we have a nonfiction book. It is by Mary Rose, called Replaceable You. It did come out towards the end of the year, around September or October. So it is a delight. I so very much enjoy Mary Roach's books. She writes all nonfiction, kind of like popular science, and she has a great sense of humor as she explains what she found in her research among numerous topics. This topic, Irreplaceable You, is kind of like as we get older, or just from the get-go, our bodies like tend to break down. They like to kick us where it hurts and something goes wrong. And so here she investigated what science is doing to remedy that. Whether maybe it's some baldness going on, or maybe you have your eyes are going on you, or something's going on with your foot or your leg. Just what science is doing to help you so that you can live a comfortable life. So she's gone through a bunch of stuff. She never flinches from what maybe some kind of like what the medical staff sees. She's right there in there with the surgery room and just how a cataract surgery is done. Oh my God, I'm really weird about eye stuff. So when she was describing it, she's like, "Oh my God, it's like jelly." Ugh. So she always has these very humorous asides while she's explaining her science, and that's really great. Um, so it could be like really important stuff from how to get people their vision back to maybe not so important stuff like how to obtain the perfect behind that, certain cultures really enjoy. And just, if people want their body to look a certain way, there is medical staff to help you with that. So she talks about that as well. And that's always very interesting. So if you're looking for a good, funny science book, or just like what's going on in the medical world that maybe you might be tapping into in the future, because the problem we all face is our bodies like to let us down as we need them the most, and what science can do to help that. So with that would be my recommendation, and I'm gonna pass it along.
Okay, so this is one of my recommendations. This was published in the latter part of 2025. The Intruder by Frida McFadden. It's a psychological thriller slash mystery. If you're not familiar with her, you might have heard of the book, The Housemaid, which was another bestseller book of hers. So I've come to expect certain things from a Frida McFadden thriller: a fast pace, a protagonist with a troubled past, twists that keep me flipping pages, and usually long after I should have gone to bed. So this book, The Intruder, delivers all of that, but with just enough variation that kind of keeps you guessing. So the story centers on Casey, a woman whose life has been shaped by trauma and secrets. She's isolated, living alone in a remote cabin after leaving her teaching career. And she's haunted by her past, and she's desperate to hold on to some semblance of the perfect family that she believes she deserves. So when an unexpected figure from her childhood reappears in her life, her world just starts to unravel. The story is told across multiple timelines and perspectives. The narrative kind of slowly reveals the truth about Casey's past and the people around her. So for much of the book, I really thought I had the plot figured out, only to be like thrown off course again and again. The final act really packs in twist after twist. And while I will say it does feel slightly rushed towards the end, the epilogue ties everything together in a way that I felt both satisfied, a little bit unsettled. So if you're already a fan of the author's work, you'll find The Intruder familiar, but fresh enough to surprise you. So I would say if you like quick thrillers with multiple twists, you'll be hooked. And back to Jen.
All right. So here we have The Listeners by Maggie Steffvater. I'm probably saying that wrong. My apologies. So I remember Maggie when I was a teen, reading her young adult books all those years ago, and I enjoyed all of her teen books. This is actually her first adult novel, and it has everything I love about it from her. She has a great sense of atmosphere, very strong characters, and she usually has a little bit of mythical overtones / magical realism. So here we have kind of historical fiction with a little like hint of magical realism. So I like my historical fiction too. So this I didn't actually know about this. This was something brand new that I learned. So following Pearl Harbor, all of the diplomats who were still in in the US from like Japan, Germany, Italy, they were all of a sudden like, nope, we gotta get these guys out of here. We need to contain them and move them. So after Pearl Harbor, when war was declared from the US, the government gathered all the foreign diplomats who were still left in the country and detained them in various Appalachian luxury resorts while they worked on shipping them back to their countries, maybe some prisoner transfers. I had no idea, no idea. And so this is a story about that situation. It is a fictional hotel. It doesn't actually take place at a hotel that actually exists, but it's fictional based on a true story kind of thing. And just what it was like for everyone involved. So you've got hotel management who are kind of being forced by the government to take these guests on, and you have the staff who maybe have already have relatives or maybe Jewish relatives who are being forced to work with these guests, and they might be totally opposed to it. You know, they already have family fighting off in the war or going to fight. Maybe they have Jewish relatives who are like, how am I going to take care of these German diplomats when they don't even treat me like a human? So you've got the staff, hotel staff who are not happy as well. You have the guests who are not happy because they're basically prisoners. It's a luxury prison, yes, but they are being held captive basically. And all while you have the government officials, agents just circling around the hotel, just kind of spying. They're just trying to see if they can get any intel from these diplomats who were held in the war. And it's just a pressure cooker. And there's just so much tension that comes out of all these different factions. And you can clearly read this in the book, and it's just really, really interesting. And then you've got Maggie throwing her little sprinkle of magical realism. And so anyone who's familiar with Appalachia, there's a lot of lore, like a lot of myths that come out of this region, that region. And she has those elements in there, like with Sweetwater and just like what out in the mountains. And it's very interesting how she incorporates that in her book. It's not a forefront of it, but it definitely adds to the mix as well. The little strangeness that goes on at the hotel. And it's just a great setting. I would love to see maybe either a series or a movie come out of it because it feels that way with the historical fiction part of it and just a cast of characters. So really enjoyed it. She did a great job for her first adult book, and I hope she keeps writing adult because I will definitely read that. All right, moving on to Jen.
Right. So Jen knows this about me, but I will share it with you all. I love this author. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. She writes historical fiction. If you have heard of the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or one of my favorites, Daisy Jones and the Six, which takes place in the 70s. I just think she does such a wonderful job with historical fiction. So this book is Atmosphere. I just recently finished reading this. It's another 2025 publication. So the main character, his name is Joan Goodwin, and Joan has been obsessed with the stars for as long as she can remember. She's thoughtful, she's reserved. She is kind of content with her life as a professor of physics and astronomy at Rice University. She is also very connected and a doting aunt to her niece, Frances. So Joan comes across an advertisement looking for the first women scientists to join NASA's space shuttle program. Suddenly, she is just kind of recognizing that she's missing something in her life, and this would be her absolute dream job. So Joan is selected from a pool of thousands of applicants in the summer of 1980. She begins training at Houston's Johnson Space Center, along with exceptional group of fellow candidates. So there is a Top Gun pilot, his name is Hank Redman. There's a scientist, John Griffin. He's kind and easygoing, and even when the stakes are the highest, he's somebody that she really leans on. There's another character, Lydia Danes, who all of these people are top-notch in their field. She is a little bit, I would say, prickly, so she has a little bit of a harder time fitting into the group. And then there's Vanessa Ford. She's magnetic, mysterious, and she is one of the aeronautical engineers. She can fix any engine, and she can also fly planes. So I feel like I learned a lot about this time period. It was really, really interesting to me. The book had been recommended to me by somebody in another book discussion. So anyway, these new astronauts, they become very close-knit. And there's a lot of kind of push and pull because yes, they're all competing for each other for spots, and they all have similar yet varying skill sets. So Joan actually, while she is in the midst of training, ends up falling in love with another astronaut, Vanessa. She's someone who really has not had, she's lived kind of a singular life up until this point. She really hasn't been in love. The only people she's really been connected to are her niece and her parents. So the story is a love story. I would say the love story is probably side by side with the historical aspect of this time period and going into space, and also what two women at that time might have to deal with in a hidden relationship, and how it might, certainly destroy their careers if this information about their personal life came out. So there are all these things that are going on in this book. I thought it was like fabulous. So in the sort of like winding up with it, December of 1984. So on a mission with the STS LR9, everything changes. It is so worth this read. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. I mean, I'm sure many of you know the history and what might happen. But the author has done such a great job with the historical aspects of it. And also it really is a nice love story. So one of my favorites.
Okay, last round, promise. And then we'll get to 2026. So back over to me. So here we have the book club for troublesome women. And so I read The Mad Wife by Megan Church this past year, and I love this portrayal of the 50s. So I was looking for something a little bit similar, and I did find this one where we have four dissatisfied 60s era housewives. They form a book club, and that quickly turns into not just talking about books, but and wine, but more about like sisterhood and just what's going on in their lives and how can they can improve their own world just in this rapidly changing situations that they got going on. So they become a support club for each other. There's great personalities here. You have your like very traditional housewife, maybe one that just moved in from a big city who's having kind of trouble adjusting. You got the horse girl, she likes horses, that kind of thing. They all really are very plucky and they just very mesh well very together that you can tell that they enjoy each other's company and they are very good friends, despite just starting this book club. So I enjoyed this book because I mean, I have not lived in the sixties, and I think I and my generation need the reminder of what women did not have the rights to. And it comes up in the book the whole time. Like a woman cannot open a bank account without her own bank account, without either her parents or her husband's permission. That was just mind blowing to me. Higher education was discouraged, seen as a waste of time because you're just gonna get married and have babies. So you don't need to go to college and you certainly don't need a job for the most case, or it's just a hobby. Your job is just a hobby. And contraception, we have one woman who's already had 6 kids and she doesn't want any more, but that doctor will not write her a prescription without the husband's go say. And it's stuff that just riles me and it's like, it's true. Anyway, so you get that with this and I can feel my own frustration and reflected in these 4 women's. And it's just what they're doing to improve their own lives and the community around them based on that as well. So yeah, definitely, if you like historical fiction, if you want like a little bit of that women's rights kind of thing, this is your book. Because you definitely respect a woman who wants to improve themselves, improve their minds, and that goal transcends from then to now, definitely.
Jen,
Yes.
I challenge you to look up when you could finally have your own checking account in Florida,
Florida? Yeah, Florida.
Do you know the answer to that?
1981.
Oh, wow. God.
Crazy.
All right. Yes.
1981.
These things be put in our book
Have your own.
because that one sounds like.
This one, sure. Yeah. Well, It's a newer book, so it'll probably be towards the end of 2026, just to give it time so we can get copies. But yeah, definitely. I'm glad you're interested.
Yes, very much so.
All right. Throwing it back over to Karen.
All right, this, we promise, is the last 2025. Once I finish with this, things are gonna move a little faster with the new books. So Gone Before Goodbye, combination of Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben. As we know, mystery and suspense. I felt like this was an unforgettable suspense novel. It combined the storytelling talents of Reese Witherspoon and best-selling author Harlan Coben. So it's the story of a woman trapped in a deadly conspiracy, where uncovering the truth could cost her everything. So the main character is Maggie McCabe. She is teetering on the brink. She is a highly skilled, renowned Army combat surgeon. She's always lived life at the edge, where she could kind of make the most impact. And that is just how she liked to live her life until she didn't. So Maggie's life begins to unravel after a series of personal tragedies, leaving her without her medical license, which is devastating to her. So she's at rock bottom at this point, and she's offered a second chance. It's an off the books position, treating high-paying anonymous clients who demand perfection and secrecy. What begins as an opportunity to reclaim her sense of purpose quickly puts her in the dangerous world of wealth and power. So halfway across the world is one of the most wealthy and mysterious men, and he is requiring a very unconventional medical assistance. So she's desperate at this point, and she's also one of the few surgeons in the world skilled enough to take this job on. So Maggie enters this realm of opulence, and she fulfills her end of the agreement. But when the patient suddenly disappears under her care, Maggie must become a fugitive herself, or she might be the next person who disappears. So if you like mystery thriller, I definitely would recommend this. There is a lot happening in the story. It took me a little bit to keep the characters straight, but once I settled in, I was completely hooked. The pacing is fast, the tension is kind of unrelenting. And while a few moments stretched believability, like a plastic surgeon performing open heart surgery, for instance, the overall plot is gripping and addictive. So there you go.
Okey-dokey. Thanks for putting up with us. So coming soon to library near you. So we got new books. Oh, sorry.
You know offhand whether any of these books are audiobooks through Libby?
I do not.
Okay.
I'm guessing at least a good portion are. We try to do that between Libby and Hoopla.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can get, yeah.
I just looked up two and they are.
Okay,
The listeners and the book club.
very nice. Yeah, give it a shot.
Yes, I just reserved it.
Okay, cool.
All right.
While we were talking too, wow. Okay, so let's see what we got coming on in the new year. All right, Karen.
Okay, The Midnight Train by Matt Haig, coming out in May 2026. This is a magical time-traveling love story about 81-year-old Wilbur who, facing death, boards a mysterious train that lets him revisit pivotal moments in his life, especially his time with the love of his life, Maggie. So this is a second book in the Midnight World series, the first being the Midnight Library.
Okay, so for these publication dates, just be aware that what we say now may change. Publishers like to adjust things based on whatever, so no promises. Okay, here we got, Cool Machine by Colson Whitehead. This is his final volume in his Harlem trilogy. He's a two-time winner of the Pulitzer Prize. And the author of Nickel Boys. This is for anyone who has read or enjoyed Colson's numerous works of art. He's got plenty out there. So let's see what else he got for us.
Okay, Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. January 2026. I have not actually checked to see if it's something that has come out or that we have yet. You all might be familiar with her. She is a New York Times bestselling author of the book I'm Glad My Mom Died, which was a nonfiction. This story is her debut fiction novel. So perceptive and funny, Half His Age is a rich character study of a yearning 17-year-old who disregards all obstacles in her effort to be seen, to be desired, to be loved. If you enjoyed McCurdy's style in her first book, this is definitely worth checking out. Did anybody read her first book? Has anybody read? Okay, so she is kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of sarcastic sort of humor. Her first book being nonfiction, actually about her life, is really worth reading. I'm blanking on the name of the show that she was in. Do you remember?
I just know she was a child actor and her mother kind of forced her, hence why the title. Yeah, like it was a very bad relationship, kind of toxic. But she was a very famous child actor.
Yeah, gosh, I wish I could remember.
Yeah.
Maybe, are you looking it up, Mary Ellen?
Yeah. Was it iCarly?
Oh, I think it was,
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, and actually, that particular situation was really, really kind of against her will. Anyway,
Yeah.
so on to you.
All right, here we've got Go Gentle by Maria Semple. She was the author of Where'd You Go, Bernadette, that came out a couple of years ago. Maria likes to focus on maybe, women and their like midlife change, things are changing, whether it's physically, workload, relationships. So here we have another kind of situation like that, where it's one woman's midlife transformation. So we'll see how that goes. So if you enjoyed Where'd You Go, Bernadette, you'll definitely enjoy her next novel.
Okay, The Things We Never Say by Elizabeth Strout, May 2026. So Strout is a Pulitzer Prize winning #1 New York Times bestselling author. So this is the story of Artie Dam. He's a Massachusetts high school history teacher, leading kind of a quiet, isolated life. A shocking revelation regarding his son, Rob, forces Artie to break free from his self-imposed lonely existence and confront the hidden truths of his life. If you like literary fiction, authors like Ann Tyler and Patchett, this is for you. And those authors wrote Breathing Lessons, The Commonwealth. I don't know if anybody has read those, but it apparently is kind of along the same lines.
Okay. First of all, look at that cover. Some of these were picked just on the cover. What is happening here? Okay, this is a trip. This is a debut novel, so his first book. The premise sounds great. It is built on actual experience by the author, because the author is a two-time contestant on the hit show Survivor. I've never watched it, but it's pretty interesting that he took his experiences and did a book. So it is fiction, and it's going to be a book highly recommended to people who like toxic characters, twisty thrillers, and all the drama that you find in a reality TV show, then put on books pages. So it should be interesting. Yeah, the cover just amazes me. All right, going back to Karen.
All right, you can tell that we like historical fiction. Another historical fiction, Land by Maggie O'Farrell. This novel is set in 1865 Ireland. It follows Thomas and his son Liam as they map the country for the Ordnance Survey after the Great Hunger. The book is multi-generational. It's an epic story of survival, loss, hope, actually inspired by the author's own family history and roots in the Irish landscape. So O'Farrell is the best-selling author of the books Hamnet and The Marriage Portrait. So again, historical fiction.
So I have a question. What is the current, this is for you this time. It's published 2026, June. When can a reserve be put on
As soon as we have committed to buying the book. As long as we said, yep, we're buying it, we can put a hold on it.
it? Now you can. You couldn't until it was processed.
No, yeah, as long as it's like on order, you can put a hold on it, and that includes like not just us, but other libraries.
Yeah.
So we all, collaborate, so if maybe we haven't put in our order yet, but maybe Weathersfield has, you can still put a hold on it, and it will apply to you. Yeah.
One thing about the newer books too, is you guys probably know this, is a lot of times other libraries might not send, as we don't, the newer books
Right.
out to each library. So if you put a hold on something in Weathersfield, you pick it up there.
Right, I'm just saying that, like, for most cases, we all,
Yes.
the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's someone's getting it, at
Yeah.
least we can add on to that record, yeah.
Do you order all these books at the same time if you decide to get them, or is it?
It would be, just based on what we can order from our distributor. So like stuff that's coming out in April, May, you can probably get now. Stuff that's in September, I'm not sure, like that might be a little bit too far. But you can always ask and we can always just take a look, yeah. Okay. All right, next one is me, London Falling by Patrick Reagan Key. This is a nonfiction, apologies. So he is the author who did Save Nothing and Empire of Pain, those two big books. So here we've got kind of a true crime kind of take to it. It is a book that looks into the mystery of the sudden death of a young 19-year-old man. His family, insist it was something more than suicide, which is what the police are saying. And it turns out after some investigation that was he in fact involved with some dangerous criminal London underground kind of thing. Patrick tends to take a topic and just dig in and the research just explodes of what the actual true story is. So definitely if you're looking for a good true crime book, take a look at this one.
I'm gonna put that one on my list.
Yeah.
That sounds good. So A Pair of Aces, another historical fiction novel. It follows the unlikely 1930s alliance between Eunice Carter, who is Manhattan's first Black female prosecutor, and Polly Adler, who is a high-class madam. Together, they conspire to dismantle the criminal empire of the mob boss, Bucky Luciano. So you might also know Marie Benedict as the author of The Personal Librarian,
Yes.
The Mitford Affair, which we just read in our book
Yeah.
discussion, which was really interesting. She is a New York Times and USA Today bestselling author. Is it cold?
Yeah, it's really cold there.
Sorry, guys.
Okie dokie. All right, so next we have Anatomy of an Alibi by Ashley Elston. This is, she is the author of First Fly Wins. This is her next thriller. She tends to do all very thriller or psychological thriller books. Sure to be twisty, fast, suspenseful. Perfect for those who enjoy, Alice Feeney or Rachel Hawkins, that kind of vibe to it. So we'll see what happens with that one. Back to Carrie.
Okay. The Keeper is the third, this Keeper by Tana French is the third and final novel in Tana French's Cal Hooper trilogy. It follows the Searcher and the Hunter, and it is set to be released in March of this year. It continues the story of retired Chicago detective Cal Hooper, who's in a small Irish village where he and his fiancee Lena get drawn into an investigation, which is the death or murder of a young woman. So Tana French is a New York Times bestselling author of 8 previous books. And she also won the award for the Irish Book Award for crime fiction. If you like psychological suspense, if you like police procedural, and you haven't read French yet, check this out. I really like her. You like her? Yeah. Yeah, she is really good. And she's another one of my favorite authors.
All right, we have The Beheading Game by Rebecca Lehman. Love a good historical fiction with a twist. Here is definitely one. We all know what happened to Henry VIII's second wife, Anne Boleyn. She lost her head. But this story is, well, what happens if she woke up the day after her execution somehow and took it upon herself to enact some justice here? I don't really know what that means. I don't know if that means her death was faked or if the head got reattached. I got no idea. But definitely an interesting premise. So I'm looking forward to see how that turns out. If it goes like a little bit, which way we go together. Definitely interesting.
Okay, Woman Down by Colleen Hoover, actually due to come out this month. So this is a romantic psychological thriller, and it's following the character Petra Rose, who is a disgraced best-selling author, battling writer's block, after she experienced a really severe public backlashing. So she seeks solace in a remote cabin. She meets a mysterious detective, who serves as a muse for her new book. Their intense obsessive research blurs the line between reality and fiction, leading to a dangerous, twist-filled and emotionally heavy story about the cost of fame. So just something to be said about Colleen Hoover if you don't know her. She primarily writes young adult and new adult contemporary romances. You probably have heard of It Ends With Us. There's a big thing going on in pop culture about the movie. And Verity, which I think they're making into a movie too.
All right. One more historical, I promise. Okay. So here we've got Cleopatra, by Sarah L. Arifi. So, I always enjoy like a historical fiction book, especially like ancient cultures as well, and they're very interesting. I love Egypt as well. They're often hard to find, or a good one is hard to find, so I'm very interested to see how this one comes out. We have a fantastical retelling of Cleopatra, the queen, the myth, the legend. So in this, she tells her own story, so it's probably gonna be like first person possibly. And it's supposed to be a very historical epic book. So I don't know exactly the page numbers either, but I'm interested. And the cover is gorgeous. So.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
So I've never heard of that author before, so I might take a peek, open it up, read a couple pages and see how it goes. All right.
Whistler by Anne Patchett, due to come out in June. This is characterized as a tender, character-driven novel focusing on Daphne Fuller, who reconnects with her former stepfather, Eddie Triplett, years after their brief, impactful time together. Following a chance meeting at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, they end up rekindling their deep bond. The story kind of explores themes of memory, familial love, and the enduring influence of short-lived but meaningful relationships. So if you're familiar with her, if you're not, the author is known for writing contemporary literary fiction. She's also a New York Times bestselling author of the book Tom Lake and El Canto. And if you were looking for read-alikes, Elizabeth Strout, Lily King, and Tyler are all kind of right in that realm. Back to Jen.
All right, calling all cat lovers. First of all, take a look at that cover. Very interesting, very huge. This is a cozy fantasy. So it's meant to be very light read, very nice and comforting. So it is a cozy fantasy novel where a woman runs a cat rescue in 1920s, very nice. Montreal, also very exciting, who has to turn to a grouchy wizard to help her save the shelter. So there's a little bit of fantasy on there. So curl up with a cup of tea and your cat and maybe take a read through. We'll see how that goes.
The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett. Potentially, hopefully coming out in May. And I really have to say, this is another historical fiction. I think what we're all getting is that historical fiction has kind of a big place in 2026.
Yeah.
Because these were a lot of the books that, you know, we saw on podcasts and different things, lists that were recommended. So, and we both also love historical fiction. Anyway, so this novel is set in 1933 Mississippi during the Great Depression. It follows three resilient women, a young orphan, a determined outsider, and a woman with haunted past, who form an unlikely alliance to reclaim their lives and their dignity. The story explores friendship and defiance against a backdrop of economic hardship and social inequality. Stockett is the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Help. So I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, here we got Vigil by George Saunders. Very interesting premise. We have magical realism meets literary fiction. He is a Booker Prize winning author, and his book here seems to offer fantasy and philosophy together with a little bit of a laugh, supposedly. So the book takes place at the bedside of an oil company CEO. In the twilight hours of his life, where he's maybe thinking about all the stuff that he did, some good, some bad. And as he is ferried from this world into the next, that's why it's called Vigil. And he has someone who is ferrying him to be that interaction and to take a look at his own life. So it should be interesting. I have not read anything like George Saunders, but might take a look.
Okay, My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney, actually due to be out this month. I think, Jen, you mentioned this author a little bit earlier in our discussion here. So this is Change. It's a psychological thriller. The story follows Eden Fox, an artist who returns from a run to find her key doesn't work in her door, and another woman who looks exactly like her living in her home with her husband. Bless you. The husband insists that the stranger is his wife, plunging Eden into a chaotic struggle for identity, memory, and truth. So she has been often referred to as the Queen of Twists. So she's back with this psychological masterpiece that will leave you questioning everything you know about love, identity, and revenge. Bless you. She is also the author of the popular thrillers Daisy Darker and Rock, Paper, Scissors.
Yes. All right, here we've got The Astral Library by Kate Quinn. I love Kate Quinn. She did the Alice Network. She did the Rose Code, the Briar Club. Oh, amazing. So she usually does historical fiction, but at this time she seems to be going into magical realism. Interesting. We'll have to see how that goes. So the premise of the book is, have you ever wished you could live inside a book? And the answer is a resounding yes for me, for probably a couple of you here. And here she explores that topic in here. So coming out next month, so I'll have to put it on the hold list because Kate Quinn, and I know it's going to be going fast. Okay.
It's Not Her by Mary Pickhup, supposedly coming out next month. This is another psychological thriller. It's set at a Wisconsin lake resort where Courtney Gray discovers her brother and sister-in-law murdered and her niece missing. The story alternates between the aftermath and the days leading up to the crime, revealing dark family secrets and a shocking final twist. So she is a New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of many suspense novels, including The Good Girl, Pretty Baby, Don't You Cry, and a number of others.
All right.
Back to you.
Moving on to Exit Party by Emily St. John Mandel. She is the one who did Station 11. She did Glass Hotel. So she tends to take either speculative fiction or it usually is fiction and just go from there. So here we have it feels like it's a book that takes place in the future kind of thing, so it's more speculative. And the premise is more to do with like surveillance, and kind of like a broken world kind of thing. It's all the way to September, so I don't even really know too much about it. But just if you enjoy Emily St. John Mandel or looking for more of a speculative fiction or maybe even a science fiction angle, I would take a look at it. Okay, going on.
So this is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. This is coming out in March. This is considered a slow burn contemporary romance. The main character is Larissa, who mistakenly chooses the wrong man to drive her home from a concert, beginning a relationship with him instead of his best friend, Chris. While she and Chris co-parent a rescue dog and share a deep, undeniable connection, they have to navigate the tension of their growing feelings for each other without betraying that to their friend. So she is another New York Times bestselling author, known for her books, The Friend Zone, The Happily Ever After Playlist, Life's Too Short, Part of Your World. I don't know if anybody has read her, but light, funny romance.
You want to know there's already 108 holds on?
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
Don't get in line. Okay, so here we have How to Be Okay When Nothing Is Okay, by Jenny Lawson. This is a so Jenny Lawson is best-selling author. She does blogs and she's very funny, very witty. And so it's been a couple of years since she did her last book. But her previous books were memoirs, Fiercely Happy, Let's Pretend This Never Happened. So here we have a kind of supposed to be an advice book. So I'm guessing it's gonna be a little bit more like memoirs, funny stories, and then advice. So I'll have to take a look, but she is always a good laugh. So if you're looking for kind of a memoir, funny book, take a look, because she has a great sense of humor.
Is this a cry for help? By Emily Austin. This is another one that is slated to be out this month. This is a contemporary fiction. The story follows Darcy, who is a 33-year-old librarian who has built a seemingly ideal life with her wife, Joy, and their cats at a lakeside home. However, when she receives news that her ex-boyfriend, Ben, has passed away, she suffers a severe mental health crisis, leading to a period of institutionalization and then subsequent medical leave from her job. When she finally does return to work, she immediately has to deal with book banning crusaders. So the story is one of grief, love, and the power of libraries, which we love. Austin is the best-selling author of 4 novels. Her debut novel, Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead, came out in 2021. And it was shortlisted for the Amazon First Novel Award. I have a hold on this book already.
All right, moving on. So here we have the Elsewhere Express. First of all, gorgeous cover, especially if you can get the edition with the lined page edges. Oh, beautiful. This is from the author who did Water and Moon that came out last year, the year before. It's a cozy fantasy book. So again, it's gonna be fantasy, but it's gonna be very light reading, cozy, just, make you feel good, that kind of thing. So the premise is you step aboard a train that can take you to your life's purpose. It's supposed to be very cozy, inspiring, and if anyone who has Studio Ghibli, that very beautiful, good messaging, it's gonna be that as well, it seems like. So they're looking for a good feeling one. Take a look.
Cherry Baby by Rainbow Rowell, set to come out in April. The novel is described as a second chance romance. Cherry is the main character. She is struggling after her husband moves to Hollywood and turns their life into a semi-autobiographical movie featuring a character based on her. As her husband gains fame, Cherry feels her identity is really being overtaken by the baby character in his hit webcomic turn movie. She ends up reevaluating her life and finds a new connection with someone from her past. So she is an American author known for her young adult and adult contemporary novels. Her young adult novels, Eleanor and Park and Fangirl, have been subjects of critical acclaim. So she's one to watch, and it's another one on my list because I love YA literature.
All right. Okay, I have so many nonfiction. I don't know what happened.
That's good because I have none.
Oh, good. Okay. So here we have The Typewriter and the Guillotine. Long subtitle, an American journalist, a German serial killer, and Paris on the eve of World War II. So this is the author of A Woman of No Importance that came out last year, I think, which also got really good reviews. So we have a female New Yorker reporter in France at the start of World War II, and she's in the middle of a hunt to unmask a German serial killer who is stalking the Parisian streets. Again, this is not fiction, this is all true, and just very, probably gonna be like your true crime kind of thing as well. So very interesting, and it came out this month as well.
They're great wherever. Shannon Sanders is the author. This is set to come out in July. The book is described as literary fiction based on a multi-generational story. So it is a debut novel for this author. Following Aubrey Lamb. She's a grieving 32-year-old in Washington, D.C., who inherits share of a Tennessee farm. As she relocates to Tennessee to manage the land, she uncovers a lot of family secrets and negotiates with 4 ancestral ghosts who haunt the property and end up passing a lot of judgment on the living. So the story explores the weight of Black land ownerships in the South, and the impact of the past on the present.
All right, here we have John of John by Douglas Stewart. He was the author of Shooty Vaughn and Young Lungo. So we have supposed to be a very vivid, moving novel following a young man returning to Scotland under the fraying expectations of his father. They do not get along, yet he is returning home for the first time in a while. And I'm sure this is gonna be a lot of feelings between the two of them. And you're in Scotland, so that's even better. So that should be interesting as well. And that comes out in May.
So Stations is by,
Oh, I got good people.
I'm sorry, Good People. I messed up.
Okay.
Here we go. Back up. Good People, by Patimna Sabat. That is coming out next month. This is another literary fiction. This is also another debut novel. The story is described as a provocative novel about an immigrant family living the American dream, and the daughter whose death raises questions about just how American they really want to become. The novel is partly inspired by the author's own story, her family having fled Afghanistan when she was just a month old.
All right, here we have Villa Coco. So we just the location of where the book takes place is winning. You're in the magical Tuscan Hills. All right, I'm sold. So it's supposed to be a coming of age novel, historical fiction as well. I'm not sure exactly which history we're in, which decade, but it's gonna be takes place in Italy. And you're just perfect location. It comes out in June, so again, a little bit farther away, and I am not really familiar with the author either. But the location had me sold. So.
All right, now we are at Stations by Lois Kennedy. This is later in the year, September. Another literary contemporary fiction. The story is one of love and friendship, following Rosin and Red from their meeting as teenagers in 1982 Ireland. Red escapes to England, but despite that, they stay connected, while at the same time growing apart. Rosen is later navigating her complicated relationship with him in London, and exploring how these youthful choices kind of have shaped their life going forward. Kennedy is an acclaimed Irish author of the novel Trespasses, and The End of the World is a cul-de-sac short stories.
All right, a little bit bad. A bit more on the saucier side. This is supposed to be a sexy, darkly comedic story set in San Diego. It's about an obsessive love affair that ends in a murder. It's sure to be a really good beach treat once the weather warms up, I'm sure. Hopefully in May, it will be warm enough. So, be very interesting.
Okay. Honeysuckle by Bear Friedman Tell, coming out in March. This is a fairy tale. It's loosely based on Welsh mythology. It is a heartbreaking fable of longing and need for love, for control, and for freedom. It's also categorized as a psychological fairy tale, perfect for readers of Ewan Ivey and V.E. Schwab. Part Wuthering Heights, part Frankenstein. It is a fantastically twisted tale from debut author Bar Friedman Tell.
Okie dokie. So here we got Agrippa by Robert Harris. He is the author who did Conclave, that movie that came out this past year, and it was amazing, it blew up. So that movie was based on a book, and he wrote that book. So it is a political thriller. I'm sure it's gonna be a very big book. And it is about the general Agrippa who built an empire and then paid the ultimate price. So we're in ancient Rome. And just gonna be also historical fiction, but I'm guessing like a really dense historical fiction. It feels like that. So we'll have to see how that goes.
So the Jills by Karen Parkman, coming out next month. This is another author this is their first novel. It's a mystery that follows Virginia, who is a Buffalo Bills cheerleader. She's investigating the disappearance of her best friend and teammate. When police fail to act, Virginia plunges into the dark, dangerous underbelly of Buffalo's criminal underworld, uncovering secrets that make her question her trust in others, her teammates, her coach. Interesting.
Okay, here we got My Year in Paris with Gertrude Stein. This is a book that is hard to describe. It is a fiction book. The narrator is in Paris researching an essay on Gertrude Stein. While doing so, it explores an almost contemporary Paris and the friendship of three women there. It's interesting. I'm not really sure. But it looked kind of like it got enough attention for some reason. So once it does finally come out in June, I'd be interested to see what the hype is about it, because it's just weird. So I just want to know why. So we'll have to see what happens in June. It is fiction. It's not like a memoir of hers or anything like that, or a biography of it, but it's like a book about three women who are then interested in Gertrude Stein. So I'm not really sure how much she plays in it. Okie dokie.
All right. None Such by Frances Spooford. That's coming out next month. Here is a science fiction book. I feel like Jen should be talking about this because she's such a science fiction person. A science fiction book with an interesting premise. It's a tale about an ambitious young woman who must thwart time traveling fascists during the chaos of the London Blitz. It's sure to be a page turner and a profound exploration of ambition and love and the fight against tyranny. The story is as enchanting as it is urgent.
That's good. All right. So that took us right to 1 o'clock. I was eyeing that clock. I think we did pretty well. Thank you all for attending. Our winter reading starts next week on Wednesday. Wednesday is our adult kickoff. Come on by for a little gift, for some snacks, for some book recommendations as well. And we hope to see you then. And thank you all for coming. It's nice seeing you all.